1 and then 2 on the. All right, are we recording?
Yeah, we're all set.
All right, good.
Cool.
All right, welcome to the Throwing Hammers podcast, 2022 year in review.
Yes.
We've all got our Christmas presents on.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we're all repping the
So
fighter
we're-
merch. The fighter merch.
Representing,
This thing is sweet.
literally representing. Well,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is, yeah, Sean O'Malley website. We've got some Nate Diaz gear. Not that we're promoting, not that we're whatever. We're not doing any collaborations with anybody, but if you go
Support the fighters.
This came from Sean O'Malley's website. I think it's Sugar Squad or SugarShow.com.
find it.
I'm not sure
They'll find
what it is, but right from his website. Nate Diaz stuff comes from Represent, which is a collaboration with Nate Diaz.
Yep.
And some other fighters. They do Brandon Moreno, things like that. But we can put the links in them.
Yeah, for sure.
Put the links down there if you
Good to
guys wanna
support the
look at 'em.
fighters directly.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, so we've got 10 categories we're gonna go through and just run them off and
Yeah.
see what we think and
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you came up with the categories yesterday for what we're gonna talk about.
yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I got
Talk
some good
about
ones.
it. All right, let's lead it off.
Do you want to start with? That's what I was gonna ask before. Do you want to start like with number one or like right away?
I don't know. What do
Or
you
it's up
guys
to
want to do? Why don't we start with maybe we'll start with something a little easy, like maybe Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the year. Okay. Yeah. We can ease into it. All right. Who wants to go first? Who wants to go
good
first?
predictions away. So I picked I picked one guy or moment for each one, but I also have some other things too for that category. I picked, so looking back, recency effect, I know Raul Rosas Jr. was a rookie this year and came in, looked amazing on the show Ultimate Fighter, or what is it called? Ultimate Fighter? Contender Series now, yeah. Okay, I always mess that up. But anyways, so great on him. Another rookie this year, Jack Della Maddalena was a rookie this year. Won 3 fights after losing his first 2 in the UFC, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But now he's 9-2. But my rookie of the year, 3 first rounds finishes was Jalton Almeida. I forgot about him until I really looked into, what happened this year. And Almeida, I just think that, came in 3 first round finishes and fought in 2 different weight classes too. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's my rookie of the year.
Cool.
But what do you guys think?
I can go if you want.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I don't know. This was probably my least original pick, I would say. So I did put Raul Rosas Jr.
Me as well.
I don't know. I felt like I had to honor the fact that he was the youngest UFC fighter. He he obviously, like we said, he was on Contender Series, and then he filled in last minute on the card, right? It was kind of like a last minute deal. He wasn't originally scheduled to fight on that card, so I liked that as well. It was like do you remember I don't remember what happened.
I don't remember,
but something fell through on the card, and he stepped in kind of last minute, a couple weeks before the card. I like that. He gave a great personality. I was gonna say, and then we can get to the how he fights. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Super super high prospect. And someone I'm super excited to watch. So yeah, I felt like I had to honor him at least once on here.
I felt the same way, just kind of history in the making.
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
And, a true rookie.
Yeah, exactly. He's 17. He bought his mom a minivan with his check or something like that.
Yeah. Just so that he could go to the PI or whatever.
Yeah. He gave a great interview on Ariel too. So I don't know. That was a cool story.
It's definitely a solid pick. As far as potential goes, it's sky's the limit for him for sure.
Yeah,
it feels
definitely.
like he's got it for sure. All right, I don't know. We can move on unless you guys have anything else on that. We can move on.
No.
I should probably have a pen so I can cross these out, but
I'll cross them out.
whatever, it doesn't matter.
I got it.
I don't know. Let's go with Let's go with Shit Talker of the Year. That's one of our categories. Shit Talker of the Year. I'll let you guys start.
This is a tough one because I feel like nobody really compares to Connor. And so I'm kind of looking for like that Connor level of shit talk. So I was kind of looking for something along the lines, a bunch of honorable mentions, but probably will have to go with Sean Strickland. Yeah. Just off of those pressers. He's or post-fight interviews, and every interview he ever does, he's pretty funny. Yeah. Talks a lot of shit. If not him, honorable mentions to Kevin Holland and Ilya Topuria, just because he was talking a lot of shit with Patty through the hand sanitizer at Patty, and just can't really give Patty too much shine from the shit talking because he didn't really back anything up.
So. No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shit talker of the year. I mean, like I said, or like you said, I should say, nobody, like when you think of a shit talker, you think of Connor. You think of someone trying to live up to Connor. Ilya Topuria came in my head, or Topuria, because he kind of gave that like Connor-esque, like he was, I don't know. I think he's like, wake up.
Wake up.
It's time to get up.
I think he like specifically like quoted Connor, or like did like one of Connor's comebacks. So he came to mind.
Who did that?
Topuria in the press conference. So I wanted to mention that. Also, shit talker of the year. I mean, I know. So
I didn't know if we had to stick to UFC guys too.
I was gonna say. So I have two guys that aren't exactly UFC.
Yeah, I don't think we got to stick to UFC.
But then Danny Sabatello wins that one outright.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was gonna say I have Sabatello, but I will then, if we clarify that, I will give my shit talker of the year to Ariel Helwani, because he 10-7'd Dana White, Patty Pimblett, Dalen Dennis in studio. He went on a rampage at the end of the year.
That's a good pick, because that interview with Dennis was so funny. I just thought he was just like, I mean, Dennis is so stupid. He didn't even realize that Ariel was insulting him most of the time.
Right.
I mean, that was so funny.
Yeah. It was so now that we clarified that, I'll give it to Ariel because of all that at the end of the year. Yeah, for sure.
I'll lock in with Sean Strickland just to keep everybody UFC on my little paper here, but I like Strickland. Definitely can talk shit.
Strickland's like gives the most. I don't know. I like someone who's like wacky. You know.
Well, he's like that level of shit talking where you're like, man, this guy's serious, which is why it kind of sucks. Like, everything he's saying, he's
So I picked Strickland as well.
Yeah,
I thought I thought about Sabatello. I like whatever. He's great on everything he does. Yeah. But I mean, for me, the interviews that Sean Strickland gave before the fights, it was like I couldn't take my eyes off the TV.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this guy going to say next?
Too funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so off the wall, the shit he was saying.
His comment about Bobby Green, too, was hilarious. Like, he's like, yeah, I know. I say some crazy ass shit, but I know it's crazy. He goes, Bobby will say some crazy ass shit, but believe it with everything in him. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious.
He's funny. Yeah, he's like insulting the reporters too.
You just never like. It was just like I started watching that and I couldn't stop watching it. It was just like, what is he gonna say next? And then, oh my God. So yeah, my award goes to Sean Strickland as well. But I want definitely Ilya Topuria. I thought was on my list also, and I thought he just came out and I don't know if that's out of character for him. I don't know if I ever seen him just be confrontational like that.
I mean, he threw the hand sanitizer, right? He's got a little.
Did he?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't remember the history of him, but I mean, he came out and just was just shit talking Patty the whole time at that press conference. It was funny.
Yeah. He's definitely making a name for himself. He looked amazing against Bryce Mitchell. But
yeah, and he backed it up. That's the thing.
Yeah, like, right.
That was my thing too. It's like, okay, you're a shit talker, but it's like
right. Well, that was the thing about Connor too. Going back to Connor really quick, is he backed everything up. You know what I mean? He was the double champ. He was the this, that. He did everything, you know what I mean, when he was talking shit.
Right.
So.
For sure.
Right, and that's the thing. Can you, like we talked about before, it's like, Patty talks a lot of shit, but he's got to back it up.
Yeah, right.
And whatever.
Yeah.
That's a whole other discussion. Anyways, all right, so that's what we got for Shit Talker of the Year. I mean, there was some good moments on the mic in the ring, too. I thought there were so many great interview moments and things like that. But, I mean, I don't know. Strickland was just... agree with him or not, it was like must-see TV. It was just crazy.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's a top character for sure.
Yeah. So, why don't we go to most underrated fighter of the year?
All right,
what do you guys got for that?
Well,
ironically enough, while we're still on the topic of him from Shit Talker of the Year as an honorable mention, I'll just say I have Ilia Topuria as most underrated fighter of the year. Kind of like I took this one as more like a breakout fighter, almost like somebody that we might not have heard too much about last year. Kind of fought a couple times and really like popped off. Other person honorable mention being Renato Moicano.
Oh yeah,
took a fight on short notice. Won. I think he did take one loss. I don't remember if it was in 2021 or early 2022.
Yeah,
but just an honorable mention. Another good fighter.
100%.
Somebody that I started following this year that I wasn't following in 2021.
Definitely. Okay, I'll start with an honorable mention. I definitely had to include Beneil Dariush on here. I know we talked about this yesterday. This is the only one that like we talked about a little bit yesterday. Beneil Dariush, I had to put on here. He's definitely like, I feel like getting the credibility or starting to get the credibility that I think he deserves. He's just insane. They have to give him a title shot eventually, and I think he might shock the world when he gets a title shot. But I'll go for my official pick for most underrated fighter of the year, Bilal Muhammad. Have to go with him. He gets shit on all the time for being boring, for being a wrestler, this and that. Goes out in his last fight, knocks the dude out.
Sean Brady.
Yeah,
on the feet. I mean, not
an undefeated Sean Brady. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, and people still aren't giving him the credit after he knocked Sean Brady out. I don't know why people aren't talking about it more. So I couldn't not put Bilal Muhammad as my pick.
Well, and I think that fight was really proving a point. I mean, he's like, hey, you think I'm boring? I'm going to box this guy to death. And that's what he did.
Did he change camps?
Yeah. Well, he started working with Trevor Whitman.
Okay. Usman. Yeah.
One thing I didn't say, too, about just like underrated in a sense, I think honorable mention, too, that I have to say is it's a specific time period for the fighter, too. It would be Glover Teixeira before the Yuri fight. I feel like a lot of people underestimated him.
Yeah,
and just kind of thought like this young dude was going to come out and beat the shit out of Glover Teixeira, and it was kind of one of those moments where the master shows why he's the teacher type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't get me wrong, he lost, but the first opening seconds there was like it was electric, like it was fireworks from the start. And I think after that he was not underrated; he was rated right where he should have been. Right, still got it.
Right, everybody thought he was going to get mopped in that fight.
And everyone thought he was going to retire after that fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Still kicking it. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. So. Most underrated. So my choice is a little off base, I think, but I think people forget about, like, my choice is Cyril Gane. Okay. I feel like looking back at the whole year in review, I thought, looking back at that fight against Taivasa, it was like, I always kind of thought Gane didn't really want to engage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And after that fight, I mean, he changed my mind, you know what I mean? And I thought, and I think people forget about what an incredible like athlete the guy is for a heavyweight.
Right.
He's incredible. I mean, it's just
he moves like a lightweight.
So I think people forget about that, and I just thought, I think that, if the guys, especially if the guys don't fight all the time, right? If they fight once a year or whatever, sometimes we forget that, So I think he's underrated in that category, and I think he's eventually going to be champion for sure.
Yeah.
I think he has what it takes.
Well, he's a freak of nature. I mean, like the size, he's like, I don't know what he is compared to Ngannou, but he's huge.
And like I said, I don't know if he's necessarily, like you said, like this category's underrated, but maybe for guys that are forgotten about kind of too a little bit.
Well, you said he was kind of he was underrated in your mind.
Well, that's the thing. It's your opinion.
Right? Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. So, but some other guys I had him on the honorable mentions. Bilal was on my list too.
Yeah.
I have Alex Pereira on this list too, and I think that because I underrate him all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like now I still feel like he's underrated because I just don't have the confidence in him
You're personally underrating him.
To be a well-rounded fighter.
Yeah.
I feel like if he goes up against a real wrestler, he's just going to lose.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
You got to give the guy credit.
I agree, though.
Got to give him credit, and I think he's underrated in that fact. It's like, okay, he just beat Izzy and knocked him out, and nobody ever thought that was.
I don't see Alex defending the title like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I just can't fathom that happening.
Unless he really, really develops another side of his game for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know. One other guy I had on the list was Dricus du Plessis, and I think he's very underrated.
Yes.
And after this fight against Darren Till, I mean, he really showed that, the guy's a great fighter. And I think that I underrated him too, because I just thought in the past, the name came up when I saw he was fighting Till, and I thought, Till's probably going to win.
Yeah.
But I guess he really showed in this fight. It's like, come on, the guy's really good.
Yeah. Speaking of that fight too, I think we all thought Till was going to go out and win that fight.
Yeah.
Just knowing that like he'd been training for a while, training with Khamzat. We kind of had that thought that like if he was training with Khamzat, he was going to come out and just like manhandle and grapple the hell out of Duplessis, and that was like we kind of learned just because you train with a grappler doesn't make you a grappler. So
yeah, definitely. I forgot about him.
So I mean, those are my picks. I mean, I picked Gane, but those are some other ones that I had in there too. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to. I don't know. Let's go.
Shocking moment,
or
inside, or incident outside the octagon, maybe.
All right.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
All right. So on our list we have, what was the most memorable incident that didn't happen in the octagon?
Okay. You want to go first?
Me?
Yeah. Or I don't know.
Blocking all my answers.
Got you.
You think I'm cheating?
Everything's got to be a surprise.
Yeah.
But incident outside the octagon. This isn't UFC related. It was just I don't know if the clear cut answer to me would have been the Paddy Pimblett area. Oh yeah, the Paddy Pimblett Ariel disagreement.
Yep.
I also think that Dana White But my incident was just Dylan Dennis finally getting rocked in the face outside of that hotel.
I forgot.
It was just like
that.
one of those things that's a long time coming. Everyone's been waiting for something like that to happen to the guy. And not that I wish anything bad upon anybody, but I mean, he says a lot of crazy shit. So it was bound to happen eventually is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, 100%. I'll go quick because you did mention mine. I know, like you said, it was kind of the clear cut. I had to put, this whole Dana going on Paddy Pimblett's pod. And,
but it was clear cut for a good reason.
Yeah,
It's almost like it's the right answer. Like,
right.
That shit was crazy.
I mean, the reason I put it is because I'm usually not one to, get into, a bunch of, whatever, a drama story. You know what I mean? But, this, Ariel's response and everything like that, I was so into the whole thing, and I was watching all these videos on it, and I don't know. It just was definitely the most memorable thing for me that happened.
Well, there's just so much to unwrap that happened there too. It's like this Dana. I don't know. There's this weird obsession Dana seems to have with Paddy that he's just constantly trying to promote him as the next big thing,
right? And
giving him every opportunity by putting him on his little side shows and Fuck It Friday or whatever he's doing, and going on his podcast, and then blasting Ariel like it's
right,
whatever, and then Ariel firing back. Yeah, I mean I was
gonna say,
pretty big moment. This year that just happened.
Them setting Ariel off on this tangent, and then I don't know, and then Ariel's going at Brendan Schaub and then Dylan Dennis, and I just it just made me love Ariel so much more. I don't know, so I had to put that. Because
for somebody who never was a fighter to be that confident against all the fighters is commendable for sure.
100%.
But he probably realizes too, what are these guys gonna do? Just assault me,
right.
Get a charge.
Yeah, exactly.
They could, but it's very
right. Yeah,
would be in their favor.
100%.
All right, so I totally agree with that, but I picked something different. I picked the Chimaev weigh-in.
Oh yeah,
that's a great one. I'm glad you said that.
Incident outside the octagon, because I've never seen anything like this happen, where a guy misses weight by 8 pounds, and then just everything surrounding that whole
card was nuts.
crazy, right? I mean, it started with, there's, we're not having a press conference because there's some incident that happened behind the scenes between Kevin Holland and Chimaev or whatever happened, and Nate Diaz was involved, and but then Chimaev makes it to the scale and he's 8 pounds overweight, and then they rearrange the card, and nobody is fighting who they expected to fight.
Right. Different
we've
weight
never seen that. We've seen last minute changes or maybe fighter substitutes if there's a backup fighter or whatever maybe. But I mean, I picked this as just I couldn't stop watching what was going on. I couldn't get off Twitter at that time, and I needed to find out what was really behind that too. Right. You know what I mean? And we don't know. We don't know today. I feel bad for who was the guy that bought the new suit for that?
Li Jingliang.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel bad for him, because, they rearranged all the fights, and it's like, okay, well, it really didn't do anything because you're taking a guy and putting him back down that's almost 7 or 8 pounds,
right?
Overweight also.
Right, exactly.
So, whatever. It was just it was weird. The whole thing was weird.
That was something we definitely never seen before in the UFC.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, the whole incident was weird, and I just thought, like, we just saw something that was, I don't know, conspiracy theory-ish, I thought.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right, good. So let's
one
move
honorable
on.
mention for that before I forget, just the for incident outside the octagon of the year, it would be Yuri Prochazka vacating the title because he had the most serious shoulder injury the UFC doctors had ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
That was just like not a good incident, but just like one of those unprecedented things where like somebody gets a shoulder injury wrestling and training, and it was so severe they had to vacate the title, and it was just nuts. But
and good on him for doing that. I mean, he didn't have to do that. I mean, he could have just
could have done what's his face do? The one, oh my God, who was it that was it TJ Dillashaw that just fought like Aljo or something like that? And
he Dillashaw had a shoulder injury throughout his whole camp. It came out or whatever. He fought
and got
Aljo,
his shit rocked.
Like a couple minutes into the fight, shoulder falls out of his socket or whatever, and it's like comes out that he had an injury the whole camp, and like
if there was a number 11 that was like what pissed you off the most, that would have been my honorable mention or something.
Oh yeah,
I remember being like, that what a waste of time. You just took somebody else's spot and like you just wasted everybody's time.
Yeah,
it was a waste of time and a waste of if you get these, like, I always go back to, people are paying $85 to watch the fight.
Yeah.
Okay, most people aren't. Most people are stealing it and watching it somewhere else. But you're charging $85 to watch the fight, and then you see, something like that happen, and you're like, come on, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, you just got ragdolled through the ring, and because you have a shoulder injury that you didn't tell anybody about.
Right.
Selfish move.
Very selfish.
Yeah,
Very selfish.
All right. What do you guys want to move on to next? Submission of the year?
Sure. You can do that.
All right. All right, you guys can start.
I had the standing arm triangle by Jessica Andrade versus Amanda Lemos. That was never been an NBD, never been done.
Yes.
Yep.
Honestly, it made it just out of the historical purpose of it. It was.
I was gonna say,
it looked pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we had to.
Cool.
I'm glad you included that. I actually didn't write that down, but I forgot about that.
Had to highlight it.
Had to highlight it. Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely. Never been done before. I had to include it in our list.
Yeah.
Sure. There's a couple good honorable mentions too. There was the other thing too is like sometimes I can picture what happened, but then the name it's never been done or it's happened twice. I can't remember what it's called, and it's like what's the thing that happened twice in UFC? Looking it up, I'm like I feel stupid even looking this up. I'll just put the one that I remember down.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of those Google searches that we have are.
It's funny. It's like
I was reading through different fights and making sure I wasn't or trying not to forget any. I should say.
We watched that standing arm triangle live.
When it
happened. So I remember being
awesome.
like, damn, that was crazy. Actually, so.
Yeah, that was sweet.
It was awesome.
For my submission of the year, honorable mention. I had to give it to Yuri versus Glover. I had to throw that in there. I know that's probably a like if you Google like submission of the year, that might be like number 1 or whatever. But like that was definitely had to give that some credit. But my submission of the year definitely goes to Islam Makhachev. He arm triangled Charles Oliveira. I thought it was impossible to submit Charles. I thought it was impossible to beat Charles Oliveira, rather not submit him. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just proved me wrong in every possible way. I didn't think it was possible to submit Charles Oliveira, and he did. So I had to give that to him.
Yeah, I had Prochazka as submission of the year.
Yep.
And I just thought
very
based on how awesome that fight was, and then just to submit him right at the end was just, because I don't know, it was definitely less than a minute left in the 5th round, right? So I don't remember the timing on that, but
and they're both like dead.
Right, but that was crazy submission, and for Glover to get submitted is a big thing, and I had that as my top pick, but Makhachev second for sure.
Yeah,
because I don't know, to submit Oliveira, after Oliveira was running through people, ran through Michael Chandler, ran through Gaethje.
Right.
You know, I mean, just not even a contest where he's standing there with these guys and then submits them with ease.
Yeah.
Just didn't think that was going to happen. You know?
Right.
So
I think the Yuri is a good pick as well, though. I mean, like, I don't know. It was just a shocking fight. You know what I mean? Like, we touched on it earlier. Nobody thought Glover really was going to hang with him like that. And then it was just this absolute war until the 5th round, until the last minute. And he slipped a choke and got him or whatever. So
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, so that's our picks for that submission of the year. Let's move to, I don't know. Let's go to knockout of the year.
Yeah. Cool with that. I can start if you want, or it don't matter.
Do it.
Okay, so I'll do a quick honorable mention. Had to throw in the Michael Chandler front kick, Tony Ferguson. Not as an honorable mention. I didn't like seeing that happen to Tony Ferguson, but it was an amazing. He didn't train the kick. You know, everyone knows the story. So that's my honorable mention. Knockout of the year, though, kind of a little bit of a sleep, like not what I thought of right away, but once I picked Marlon Vera KOing Dominic Cruz. I thought that was crazy. Cool. I thought that was a crazy knockout. I mean, like, that was cool. I know we're not like huge Cheeto fans. I mean, this is why I
wasn't it a left leg?
It was a left leg. Yeah. I mean, like the way he caught him, and it's Dominic Cruz. He moves so crazy. Like, people aren't supposed to be able to hit him like that.
That fight, I remember.
The other thing you got to remember about that fight is that they were. Cruz was dominating the whole fight.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No production out of Cheeto.
Yeah.
You know, he was just whatever. That's how he fights. He's just waiting for his one moment, and he got it.
Right.
But it was a great fight by Cruz because he was dominating that fight.
Yeah.
Until then.
That's what I was gonna say. We're like arguably not like the opposite of Cheeto fans. You know
I hate Cheeto.
But
all right, I don't hate Cheeto.
I had to whatever. I don't know. That came to mind, and I really wanted to have that as my pick. I don't know. I didn't think it was going to happen. We're watching Dominic Cruz, like you said, piece up Cheeto the whole fight. He moves all crazy. That's his thing. You're not really supposed to be able to hit him with something like that. You know what I mean? And then he hits him and he falls.
Well, it's just a perfect time kick. I mean, he knew he those movements, he was kind of, telegraphing what he was doing almost, because he's moving side to side, and then, as soon as he went down to his right side, that's what he timed that kick.
Right.
I mean, it was
because like he kind of like was like he like dips and ducks a little bit. You know what I mean? He was kind of like leaning into it. Yeah.
For my KO of the year, I'll give it to Michael Chandler with the front kick on Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
Just because he didn't train the kick, threw it for shits and gigs, and ended up connecting, and it was like one of the most like picturesque KOs you'll ever see. Like, it was connection, lights out, slump. Then he called out Conor right after. It was a cool moment, but
it was a great moment.
Both of my honorable mentions, I was really, really close at picking them to be the actual winner for this, and one being a more recent fight with Drew Dober, Bobby Green. Slump Bobby Green. That was just a beautiful punch. It was a great combination. He slumped him.
Yeah, that was
two.
Sweet.
What about Tyvasa, Derek Lewis? Derek Lewis had Tyvasa beat up against it. Ty said, fuck it, I'm going to start throwing.
Yes.
And he started throwing bombs, and he slumped him. And that was probably the most hype I've gotten for a fight, period, honestly. I was just jumping. I was so excited because I thought it was over, or he was going to just lose from being outstruck or whatever it was going to be, or the judges, but he just turned it on, and he just knocked him out.
I forget, dude. Yeah, that's the first time I really ever saw a fighter.
Ago, though.
Right. Like, you ever, like, when you're watching, you see the fighter, like, taking punches, and you think, like, man, start throwing back. Like, yeah, it's easier said. He actually did it. You know what I mean? He actually said, fuck it. I'm not going to try to block these. I'm just going to start throwing. You know what I mean?
Like, Tyvas is awesome. He's not scared to get knocked out. And, like, when he says, like, oh, yeah, anybody, anywhere, anytime, like, he's not kidding around. He's not afraid to get knocked out. But that's half of, like, that's what makes, like, a good fighter is once you get scared, I feel like getting knocked out.
Oh, yeah.
You're scared to do half of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I feel like Tuivasa too. He always, we've seen it in the Gon fight where he takes a big shot, and then I don't know if he's like playing it up a little or almost acting like he's more hurt than he is. But that one, that video that we posted, it's like you can see him. Yeah, he takes a big shot, but he slumps over and then acts like he's a little hurt, and then he just throws the haymaker.
I know.
Right at that moment.
He's so animated. It's
I mean that's a good call. That's a good call. I didn't think of that fight, but So I don't know. My knockout of the year, it just has to be Leon Edwards for me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's valid.
It's got to get on the list.
I feel like it was so, unexpected, and I just thought no one saw that coming.
Right.
No one saw it coming.
As much as I thought Oliveira was unbeatable, I thought Kamaru was unbeatable too.
Well, and that's the thing about this 2022. It's like Oliveira we thought was unbeatable. Izzy thought was unbeatable. Same thing. It's like all these guys we thought were unbeatable, lost this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usman I thought was unbeatable, and up until that kick, he was dominating that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Dominating.
Yeah, no, that definitely had to make it on the list because I think that was just.
But I think that's shocking. What makes this the greatest sport around is that we don't know. We never know what's going to happen. And it's over and over again where you see it's like, okay, we think we know what's going to happen, but sometimes we're right and a lot of times we're wrong because it's just you never know when someone's going to get caught with something.
Right.
Anyways, all right. So knockout of the year, I had to give it to Leon. I mean, just for that shock value also, but. Other ones I wrote down. I mean, Chandler, the KO of Ferguson, and it's just some of the after images of this too. I mean, the after image of that kick landing on his face and
insane,
just crazy, just crazy. I mean, and that's another fight. That's another fight too. It's like Ferguson was arguably winning that fight.
He looked so good. That was the thing. So
good
a lot
in
of
that
people
first round. Yeah,
would probably forget. And I forgot until just now. He looked fast.
Right, exactly.
Fast.
Yeah, I mean Chandler was kind of a mess after that first round. Had a big cut on his eye or whatever. But one other fight I wrote down was the Molly McCann spinning back elbow knockout, which was earlier in the year. So I thought that was a candidate for knockout of the year too. So
that was a good one.
So really, really good on that. Yeah. But there was a lot of other ones. Obviously, I mean Zhang Weili had a great. Spinning back fist 2 knockout or elbow, maybe it was. But just had to go with Leon. I mean,
for sure. No, agreed.
That just seemed like an obvious
definitely
choice to me, and I couldn't justify picking anybody else.
Definitely.
Just based on the shock value. So
cool.
All right, why don't we go to I don't know, go to. Along the Leon Edwards train, let's do shocking moment of the year, and I picked that. Yeah. Also, I picked Leon Edwards as that shocking moment of the year. Like I said, just based on how shocked everybody was.
Right. Yeah. I mean that. Yeah. If you want to talk about, shocking,
literally stunned.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't even know. I mean, so I had kind of I picked a similar moment. I picked. Izzy losing because I just didn't, whatever. I didn't think it was possible. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like there was 2 or 3 different fights like that this year where we didn't think it was possible. You know what I mean? The impossible happened. So I picked Pereira as the shocking moment of the year.
Yeah, I got Oliveira losing to Makhachev, Adesanya losing, Patty winning over Jared Gordon, and Leon Edwards winning over Kamaru Usman, all tied.
Yeah.
They were all equally as shocking to me.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
Patty winning over Jared Gordon was probably the most shocking.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, because there's definitely a little bit of I don't know. That was shocking in a different way, I would say. Shocking in a way that
definitely.
I don't know. Makes me not like Dana White a little bit.
Yeah, well, the whole thing shocking. Was shocking to me how Dana White reacted in that press conference. I know we talked about that before, but it's like, come on, he's not even didn't mention the judges one time. He's blaming
Jared Gordon for his third round strategy.
Jared Gordon for his exactly. It's just
dumb.
Whatever. That was so stupid. Anyways, so yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 2022 was a shocking UFC year, I would say overall. You know what I mean? There's
definitely
a bunch of shocking moments.
Yep.
Really good.
All right. Let's go to comeback of the year.
Comeback of the year. Okay.
You guys can start with that one.
You want to go? You want me to go? Don't matter.
Yeah, I'll go first. Mine was earlier in the year. Might have forgot, but the Drew Dober Terrence McKinney fight.
Okay, yeah.
Drew Dober was just getting shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
For a good portion of the first round, and then all of a sudden he comes back and slumps Terrence McKinney.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks because it slowed down the McKinney hype train for a little bit, but I think he's going to be a really good fighter, and I think Drew Dober's a lot better too than I originally estimated.
Yep.
But
yeah, I had Dober down as one of my underrated
for sure
because he won 3 times this year.
I know, and I used to shit talk him kind of.
Right, and I think I don't know, he's the kind of I just like him because he's just the kind of guy what you're going to get with him.
Yeah,
he's like Michael Chandler. Like
his commentary on the Bobby Green fight was funny too. He was like, "Man, he likes to talk a lot."
yeah,
for sure.
That's the thing. I mean, you just know these. I just like guys that are entertaining, and he's super entertaining.
He's honest too, because he was saying, he was like, "Yeah, you get in there telling yourself like, yeah, I'm gonna talk some shit back. I'm gonna say something to him." And he's like, then he starts talking about space or something, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
That's so funny.
Yeah, totally so off the wall. Yeah, off the wall there. But yeah, that's a good pick for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, my pick. This was I don't know why this is the fight that came to my mind right away, so I wrote it down. This is my pick for sure. It's Said Nurmagomedov versus Said Kakhramonov.
Said.
It was the Said versus Said fight. Kakhramonov was absolutely dominating Said Nurmagomedov for the whole fight, and then it was.
When was this, in October or something?
It was relatively
actually
recent.
Like maybe either early December or late November.
I was gonna say,
I want to say early
okay,
December.
It was
recent.
It was recent.
That was recent. Yeah.
This came to mind right away. I don't know why, but like I said, Said Nurmagomedov was just battered, and he was being dominated the whole fight, and he just weathered the storm. And Kakhramonov got tired, and he saw
he submitted him, didn't he?
Yeah, he just slipped a choke. He saw one opportunity.
Yep.
He gave him one opportunity to win the fight. He took it right away. You know what I mean? He was just weathering the storm, just waiting for one opportunity. I thought that was so cool. He submitted him, and then he was just like, done, whatever. I thought that was a great comeback.
Yeah, I forgot about that for sure. That's a good call. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. But yeah,
Definitely.
it came to mind right away, and I wanted to bring a little light on it.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I picked Pereira only because, we could have picked Leon Edwards for this too. I feel like, but I feel like Pereira was such an amazing comeback by him in the 5th round. I just thought he was getting kind of pieced up the whole fight, and then for him to have that much energy in the 5th round to go out and finish,
right?
Was pretty awesome.
And what was it? The 2nd round, where right before the bell.
Right.
Adesanya would have probably finished him and knocked him out if
right.
there was
5 more seconds in that round.
10 seconds, yeah.
Right.
One more punch, he would have been out because he was out on his feet right at the bell.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, and to weather that and to weather the next 2 rounds and then come back and finish the fight like he did and TKO Izzy, which none of us saw that coming either. But amazing comeback by him. But
tracking Izzy down through different sports.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But, I had to pick that, and I obviously I had to put Leon Edwards on that list too. But
yeah, definitely.
As comeback of the year because he was definitely losing that fight the whole time also.
Right. For sure.
So, yeah. So,
cool.
Comeback of the year, done. Let's go to
fight of the year.
Fight of the year. Okay. Let's do it.
Cool.
So the last 2 are fighter and fight of the year.
I was gonna say we got fighter of the year and fight of the year.
See, this was probably the toughest one for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, fight of the year being because how many fights did we watch? How many good fights did we watch?
Yeah, true.
But I'm gonna give fight of the year to O'Malley and Yan.
Yep.
That was crazy. O'Malley turned Yan into a panic wrestler, pieced him up. The amount of cool photos you saw after the fight, it was just crazy. That was a great fight. Second honorable mention being Burns Chimaev. That was very close second. I almost wanted to say that, but that's a very, very good fight. And third, this was just a personal favorite. Some people hated this fight because of the condition Luke Rockhold showed up in. The Luke Rockhold-Paulo Costa fight. I was laughing. I was scared. I was laughing. I was excited. It was great. He was putting bloody boogers on his face. Paulo Costa being such a funny guy too, and then Luke Rockhold being Luke Rockhold just made it crazy. It was funny and it was great.
That's fantastic.
Those were the 3 fights I think that
definitely
I was most happy to have watched live or seen. Those 3 were good.
I'm glad you put it that way. The fights you were happy to watch live or they had the most fun watching.
For sure.
That's the way I thought of it as well.
Yeah.
I had to put. as my honorable mention, I had Sean O'Malley, Peter Yan, because like I said, that was probably the most like, I don't know, Sean was walking out, I'm super nervous. We're huge Sean O'Malley fans. Had to put that as my honorable mention. Fight of the year, my fight of the year, is the most fun I think I had watching a fight. And I know maybe this is a little recency bias, but I put Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. I thought that fight was so fun to watch. Kevin Holland and Stephen Thompson both put on a show. And Stephen Thompson looked crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm being honest, I think I missed that fight. I didn't even watch it live, so I couldn't put that. I think I was working on the front hall at Ellie's house or something.
I had that came to mind that late last night, and I was like, oh, I think that's it. I had a lot of fun watching that fight. I always have fun when Kevin Holland fights too.
Yeah, that's good picks. I'm glad we didn't all pick the same on this one because so my pick for fight of the year was Chandler and Poirier.
Yep, it's two of your guys though.
Yeah,
right.
That's like a best case, or I guess best or worst case depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously a huge Michael Chandler fan, but I just feel like every one of his fights, I'm just on the edge of my seat, and I'm just because you know what you're getting, number one, and this fight you knew what you were getting, and it kind of played out like Michael Chandler fights. I mean, he comes out with like a house of fire, you know, but. I mean, Poirier just showed me what an amazing boxer he really is in this fight.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of that first round, I mean, you know, Chandler was a mess after that.
He was.
You know, and if you rewatch it, it's really like the last 10 seconds of the round. You know, because if you rewatch it and you think, oh, yeah, Poirier, you know, got to him at the end or whatever, but then it's like you're watching the clock, it's like 30 seconds, and there's Chandler's still throwing, and like, when does this happen? It's like the last 10 seconds, he hits him with like 7 or 8 punches that just bust him up.
Exactly.
You know, and then the second round was Chandler dominating on the ground the whole time. So you know, you could definitely argue that Chandler was up 2-0 because he probably had the better of the first round, maybe until the end, obviously, where he got busted up. But then the third round, you know, Poirier just came out, took him down and choked him out. I mean, it was, you know, Poirier is just a great fighter. So
definitely.
So yeah, I mean, there's some great fights this year, but I just picked that one, and I thought, I don't know, like whatever. I'm kind of biased to Chandler, but anyways, I just
that was a great fight.
Thought it was amazing fight.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about that fight was how Poirier reacted afterwards about the fingers in the mouth and the blood in the mouth and stuff. I was like, for how long he's been fighting and everything, and for how stand up of a dude Chandler is, and I thought Dustin was the same way, that I was like, I just didn't see that going that way. And I think that at first the initial comments he made about like the fingers in the mouth and like the like snot, like blood getting on him and everything, I understood for a minute. I was like, all right, I get it, that's annoying. But the blood that dripped onto his face, tough luck. He's got to breathe, and you're a fighter, and you shouldn't have given him your back if that's how concerned you were about that. 2, the corny ass statement he made when he goes, like, Michael, this is my house, this is my ring, it's my octagon. It's like, it's like, yours. You're not the champ. Wait, who said that?
I was gonna say, I mean, the pound for pound.
Yeah,
champ
Poirier is
maybe say
definitely
that,
corny. Like I don't know. He just comes across as, I don't know what it is. It's like all these guys have personalities, and he just has a personality that, like, I think half the people just don't like him. You know? And and I'm not. I think he's a great fighter, but yeah, personally, I don't know. I don't really like him that much. I like Chandler a lot better.
Yeah,
I mean, like outside the octagon, but I don't know. You know, whatever. We don't know these guys either. We just know what they put out there and what they, you know, how they act or whatever. So.
Right. Yeah.
So whatever. All right, so let's move on. We got
last category,
fighter of the year.
Fighter of the year. Who wants to start?
Well, I will say one thing being this, I don't think I have one answer that's debatable, and I have one answer that's clear cut. But if you wanted the Fighter of the year, whoever's pound for pound on December 30th, I think you can just give Fighter of the Year. Okay, they're pound for pound champ. But my answer is Alex Pereira.
Yep.
Just because, I mean, what he did this year, became champ, made a name for himself. He deserves to be Fighter of the Year, I think. But if you look at how far Sean O'Malley came this year, honestly, and the position that he put himself going into 2023, I don't think anyone put themselves in a better position at the end of 2022. Sure, Pereira, like Alex is champ. I get it. But Sean set up his 2023 for millions of dollars. Like, I mean, outside the octagon, he had a great year. Inside the octagon, he had a great year.
Yeah.
So
if you want to talk about someone who had who leveled up the most.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean?
Like he climbed up some steps.
Yeah, 100%.
He had a good year.
Yeah, that's definitely a great pick. I mean, he was definitely my honorable mention with Sean O'Malley. Like you said, and
it's just like it's
if
debatable.
If you want to even just talk about like how much he jumped up in the rankings.
That's what I'm saying.
What I mean?
Like,
what was he ranked?
13th,
11th,
something like that. Year? Like
and then
2021.
Going into this year, I think he might have even been.
That's what I'm saying. In the past 12 months, nobody had. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there. I have some bias for sure, but nobody, in my opinion, did better than Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, so. yeah, 100%. No, he was definitely my honorable mention. But my fighter of the year, I picked him off one fight. It was the most. I picked Islam Makhachev defeating Oliveira. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think I don't know. I didn't think it was possible, and he showed that it was the exact other way. It was the opposite story. You know what I mean? He went out there and dominated him and arm triangled him, submitted Oliveira in his element. So
see, that's how Pereira got mine. Because who else did he beat? Sean Strickland this year, and one other person. Like Sean's good, but I mean, if you're beating Adesanya, then
that was just the most significant thing in my like I said. I don't know. Like I feel bad. I was telling people I was like, this is crazy. Oliveira's an underdog. You got to bet Oliveira. Like I just didn't think in my mind it was possible at all. You know what I mean? So I had to give it to Islam.
All right, so I went back and looked at a lot of fights, and I definitely agree with your guys' picks. And they were on my radar also, but I had to go back and look at what Volkanovski did this year, and I just thought that he was my clear fighter of the year. You know, I went back and looked at the Korean Zombie fight, and I went back and looked at the Holloway fight.
Yeah,
he was so dominant in those fights that it was surprising, number one, how much quicker he is than those guys, and how dominant he was, and just mopping up that whole division.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why I give him fighter of the year, because he's just clearly dominated everybody he's faced lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of dominant champions fell this year, but he wasn't one of them.
I saw a stat too, it was like and champions that defended their title this year, he hasn't lost a round.
Jeez.
So
yeah, that's nuts.
I love those stats, like round to round stats, where it's like, oh, this guy hasn't lost the first round in his last 13 fights.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's sick.
Right. Yeah, that's
sweet. So I picked him, and I thought if we were gonna do it, we didn't really do a female fighter of the year, but I thought Zhang Weili was my female fighter of the year, just based on her that spinning, I think it was back elbow or against Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Jędrzejczyk or something.
The girl retired this year.
Yeah, so I thought that was great, and then her submitting Carla Esparza was, she dominated that fight too.
Yeah. Did Juliana Pena beat Amanda Nunes this year?
No.
Was that 2021?
Was it 2021?
No. Yeah. So
okay.
Well, yeah, we can. I wrote down some other fights too that we can just mention.
I got one, that I'll throw in.
But that was one I had, that Nunes Pena fight. I was really looking forward to that fight. And I thought it was a great fight. I mean, for Nunes to come out and dominate her like she did, and there's some of those highlights of that fight were just unbelievable to me. That when Juliana's rushing forward at her, and then Nunes just knocked her down so hard, her feet went flying. I mean, you just don't see those images.
Right. It's nuts.
That punch. I mean, maybe we can find it and put it in here, but It was just unbelievable.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. So, I mean, so I had that fight as just I wrote down some notable fights. I put down Stephen Thompson and Holland as notable because that was great.
Yeah.
But one thing with that fight too, it's like it was a great matchup for Stephen Thompson too. For if he's fighting someone that he knows isn't going to take him down, then it's a great matchup for him.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's good at.
Matchups make fights.
Right. And I had O'Malley and Jan.
Yep.
I had Oliveira on here too, just because, he beat Gaethje early in the year, and obviously the Makhachev fight was notable too.
Definitely. But. Yeah, one fight I want to throw in there at the end that thought about it. I forgot to write it down. Talia Santos versus Valentina Shevchenko. Talia Santos should have won that fight, probably.
Yeah.
Valentina Shevchenko, probably, I mean, like, whatever. She probably should have been another dominant champion that fell this year.
Yeah.
Talia Santos, I'll say almost beat her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got, and that's got to be the next fight for Shevchenko. I don't know. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and the only other thing I wrote down was I don't know, maybe an 11th topic was most overrated, and I put Patty down for that because I just felt like, you know, with all the shit talking he does, and to come in there and just not deliver, you know, I think shows how overrated he is, and I think that's what Dana was mad about. It's like, this is my guy. This is who I'm promoting. This is who I'm like putting all my money behind and putting him out there. And then he goes out and whatever, probably loses, but catches a decision. You know?
Yeah. And then goes on the mic and says, "No, it wasn't a close fight." Like,
and that's why also like Sean O'Malley, fighter of the year.
Yeah.
He goes on the mic after the Jan fight and says, "Got to review it with the camp, and then I'll come back to you with an answer." That's a professional, honest, good answer, and a respectful answer to Jan as well.
Right.
Then you got Patty, who's just out here. Oh my! Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah, like we talked about, I just like I lost so much respect for him just for what he said after the fight. I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, like, acting like he owns the UFC.
Like, are you kidding me? You know, it's like. For him to come out and have that reaction, and I thought of that immediately to compare to O'Malley's reaction when he looked like a deer in headlights when they announced because I'm sure he thought he lost. Just like all of us. I mean, that was a fight too, where you rewatch and you're like, okay, I can see how he won.
Right.
You rewatch the Patty fight, you don't come to that conclusion.
Well, that's right, and that goes back to whatever. Why that Sean O'Malley fight was so awesome, because, you know, everyone kind of thought it was, you know, oh my God, like front facing, did he really win? And then you go back and you're like, holy shit, he probably did win. You know what I mean? Going back to why Sean O'Malley is so great, like proving himself, you know what I mean? And all that. He actually did it. You know what I mean? He actually went in there and fucked up Jan.
I think the other thing too is that Paddy Pimblett and all the bad publicity surrounded around him couldn't have helped Sean more in the sense of people were starting to be like, oh, Sean O'Malley's just like the person that, like, if you the new Conor, in the sense that you don't know anything about UFC, and somebody says, oh, who's your favorite fighter, and you say Conor McGregor, it's like or Khabib, and he was like around Dana, and then when I remember after that decision, there was like compared to the Patty Jared Gordon fight, there was a little bit of like, oh, Dana throwing this guy a bone, like, oh, he's Dana's prize boy, whatever. And Patty comes around and it's so much worse.
I was going to say.
It couldn't have helped Sean more in a sense.
Such
like,
a good point.
Take the spotlight off of him in a sense of, like you said, you can rewatch his fight and like argue that, yes, he did win that fight.
Yeah.
When Patty's, you rewatch it, there is no argument. He lost.
Yeah.
So,
For
especially when you look at the number of headshots.
Yeah,
Jared Gordon put on Patty. It was ridiculous.
Oh, exactly.
Right, exactly. How many clean left hands did he land?
And Patty walks up like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, chin straight up. Yeah.
I don't know, anything else you guys have to add, or I think covered everything pretty much.
I was gonna say we knocked off all the categories. So
yeah.
Great year of UFC. Like I said, so many shocking moments, so many champions have fallen, so many things shaken up.
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley on the rise.
Yeah. We'll see what this year has to offer, but you know, so far it's looking pretty good. As far as the fights they've announced and things like that. So
super excited.
Pay attention, but.
For sure.
All right. We good?
Cool,
Wrap it up. All right. So that's our 2022 year in review.
Yes.
For the Throwing Hammers podcast. We'll be back at you maybe with a little preview of
2023
or UFC 283, which is next.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be good.
Yep.
Like that.
So Fight Night, January 14th, and then UFC 283 coming up January 21st.
Cool.
So
sweet. We'll see you then.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Cool.
We're out.
Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Peace.